Here we have the HKC wireless key fob, compatible with the range of HKC control panels. This fob, as it comes, needs to be programmed into the system. It'll need to be assigned to a user code on the system. Whatever user code attributes, or whatever attributes the user code have, then the key fob will have the exact same attributes. I'll demonstrate this in a little while. On this particular system that we'll be showing you, it's a split system. The key fob has been pre-programmed into user code 1. User code 1 will set block 1, which will be indicated on the LED over there, and that is how the key fob will work in that instance. So it can also be set up for just one button operation, which is the default setting, or it can also be set up for coded unset, and that's the purpose of the numbers on the buttons there. You can use the numbers on the buttons to enter your user code to get the system to unset. So in a situation whereby your key fob may be left in the premises when you're leaving, which wouldn't be an ideal scenario, because if you set the system using the key fob or using a code or using the app or whatever you use to set the system, anyone breaking into the premises, if they can see the key fob and if it's one button operation, then they'll be able to switch off the alarm system. So if there was a situation for whatever need, if you were using one of these as opposed to a wireless panic button and you just wanted to use the panic button feature while not allowing somebody without the code to switch off the alarm, then you could perhaps set up the key fob as a coded unset, but in the vast majority of cases it's set up as one button operation. And that goes as follows. So basically on the fob we have 4 symbols, 6 buttons, 4 symbols, 7 buttons counting the duress. We'll start with the full set, which is the locked padlock symbol, which is buttons 3 and 4. So basically, if you want to set the alarm system, you do need to be within a certain range of the system. My advice to people is to go towards your exit door and be by your exit door, or at least within the vicinity of the keypad, because when you press your button one single press there, you'll get a green LED, and ideally you want to be able to hear the system arm. Depending on the type of system you have, if it's a system where you have shock sensors or contacts on the perimeter doors and windows, if one of those zones happened to be open and you didn't hear the alarm, the exit timer set, then what you'd get in an open zone is the keypad would just flash up open zones, and even though you get your green LED showing that your transmission from the fob to the panel was successful, the system won't set. So I suppose without getting too bogged down in the whys and wherefores of it, good practice is, if you're using your key fob, make sure you get your buzzer as appropriate. So you need to hear your exit time if you're setting the system. To unset the system is your unlocked symbol, button 1 and 2. Again, just a firm press. You get your green LED. System unset, and you see block 1 has gone out there. We'll say the other buttons then, 5 and 6, they would be set up typically for part set A and part set B respectively. Whatever zones would be on and obviously off in the part set, you'd give a single press there, and your system will go into part set mode. And to unset out of part set mode, just your unset key. Same as with your keypad, always to unset out of any mode, just enter your code to unset, and that will unset for you. Your buttons 9 and 0 there, in the majority cases aren't used. They can be set up to trigger outputs on the alarm system. You can set them up to bring on lights or bring on a relay for doing whatever application you may need, or like I said earlier, you'll be using the buttons if you're using coded unset. The big red button is your duress button. Typically that would be set up when you would have the system linked to a monitoring station, or it has applications as well where you would link to your to the HKC app on the phone. In a standalone capacity, if you want to use it, you can have it so that the internal and external CERN rings when you press the button. There's pros and cons for this scenario. Ideally, if having a panic button active is a requirement for you, you will have your alarm system linked to a monitoring station, or at the very least some form of self-monitoring. What I mean by pros and cons is that if you have a bells only system, there's always the danger that if you have a scenario where you do need to press the panic button for whatever reason, if an intruder is breaking in to the house, or maybe within the house, or whatever's happening, and you press the CERNs, well, hopefully what you'll be hoping for is that this will scare the intruder away, but it might have the opposite effect of actually enraging the intruder. And at least if you were going to a monitoring station, well, the Gardaí will be dispatched immediately. If you're self-monitoring, well, what you'll be hoping for is that somebody else, that's, if there's two people connected to the system, there's no much point in sending a notification that you pressed the panic button to yourself. So like I say, for the duress panic signal, ideally it's a monitored application. But the one other thing that we would mention on it is there is a deliberate delay between pressing the button and the button activating. This is to cut down on false alarms to the monitoring stations, and obviously by extension of that, having the guards sent to site for a false alarm. So like, you press there 1 or 2, nothing happening, you have to press it for about 5 or 6 seconds, you'll see your green light, and in that instance you are after transmitting a signal to the monitoring station. Again, like, it would be best to discuss what your requirements are in relation to the panic button with your installer, so that you know exactly how it's set up, whether it's for silent or whether it's for bells, or whether it's active at all, depending. So again, just to recap, really the three most used buttons on your fob: padlock symbol, button 3 and 4 to set the system, unlock, unset, open padlock symbol, buttons 1 or 2,
System unset.
and buttons 5, 6, and 7, 8 for parts at A, parts at B, if they've been set up on your system. So like I say, very easy device to use, great for perhaps elderly people. What we find is that sometimes people would be apprehensive about whether they'd be able to use the keypad, and it might be a bit off-putting for them. But if you can show demo key fob to them and let them see what's involved in it and how easy it is to use the key fob, it can be a great option and great peace of mind, and put them at ease so that they find the system easier to use. Hope this has some help. Thanks.